Come on in, sit back and relax. You're listening to episode 184 of the WealthTech Today podcast. I'm your host, Craig Iskowitz, founder of Ezra Group Consulting. And this podcast features interviews, news, and analysis on the trends and best practices all around wealth management technology. And this is our May news roundup. And there's so much to cover. There's a lot of news this month. But before we do, let me ask, if you are an executive at an enterprise RIA, TAMP, broker-dealer, or asset manager, and you need advice and guidance on your technology infrastructure, you should run, not walk, to our website, EzraGroupLLC.com, and fill out the Contact Us form on the homepage. Our experienced team can help with evaluations of your current technology platform, optimizing that platform, running RFPs, performing software implementations, conducting operational improvements, and more. You can sign up for a free consultation by going to our website, EzraGroupLLC.com. Now, a few quick householding notes or housekeeping notes before we continue. This episode is sponsored by the Invest in Others Foundation. Go to investinothers.org for more information. And please subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss an episode. Now, let's kick this thing off. Our first story, Riskalyze rebrands as Nitrogen, a growth platform. Some of the best marketing in the fintech space or wealth tech space has been from Riskalyze. I've said this many times. I've told their team, I think their marketing is fantastic, and they really outdid themselves on this rebrand. I'm sure you saw it. It was all over social media, whether it was Twitter or LinkedIn. You couldn't get away from it. They did a very good job, and it's really a meta move to make a marketing task, a marketing event, into this live stream and this whole event and excitement around it. They did a great job building it up. Not too much, but just enough, having a great cast of clients and other supporting people talk about it, what went on behind the scenes during the event. I thought they executed it well. And they even executed the brand change right in the middle of the live stream with the website, all the marketing materials, even the core software, all switching over to the new branding while they were doing the event. Kudos to the team. And I'm going to pat myself on the back. I'm reaching over to my back to pat myself because back in February of 2017, that's 6 years ago, I wrote an article called Riskalyze Expands Beyond Profiling to Become a TAMP Supermarket. And in that article, I predicted they would have to change their name one day. I was just a little bit ahead of the curve, 6 years to be precise, but they finally did it. Good job, guys. Better late than never. And also thank you for picking a name, a Nitrogen name, which is great, means growth, but without the word advisor, smart, or vest in your name. Thank you so much. Now, one of the things I liked about Aaron Klein, the CEO, some of the things he did during the whole live stream event, afterwards he posted answers to some questions that advisors had asked him. One of them really stood out to me. Some advisors were asking about what did they do with the Riskalyze brand that they present to their clients, because they use the word Riskalyze in terms of, I'm going to analyze your portfolio using Riskalyze, or I'm going to have you take a Riskalyze questionnaire. What do? Do they now call it the Nitrogen questionnaire? And Aaron answered it very well. He said, in all candor, we didn't design either the Riskalyze or Nitrogen brands with your clients in mind. Boom. Yes, that's it. This is an advisor brand. It's targeted towards advisors. Now, that said, the risk number brand, which is still an integral part of the Nitrogen Wealth platform, as Aaron said, was designed from day one with advisors' clients as the primary audience. And their logo was never involved. That way, the advisors could white label it and present themselves. And this is really part of their delivery, which is a great way. We recommend most of our clients to do that, to offer a white label option. That way, the advisor's brand is front and center, because the end clients don't care about the brand of report or client statement or risk tolerance that the advisor is using. They just want to see the advisor's brand. So again, big props to Aaron Klein and the Riskalyze team. A couple of the things I liked about the rebrand was all the little behind the scenes vignettes they were dropping during the week. And then a big video at the end, which was kind of fun to watch all the kind of the behind the scenes things that were going on. It was silly, but still fun. And finally, welcome Riskalyze to the Purple Gang. You've joined the club of the Purple brand. We had this Purple Brand Ezra Group for 18 years, but you're welcome. Come on in. Now, of course, you're not Mr. Purple like Tony Steek, but you are now in the purple gang, so welcome. Next up, we're sticking with the Riskalyze theme. I'm sorry, the Riskalyze nitrogen theme with a new story. Riskalyze nitrogen, Orion expand their integration pact. I should just read that all over again. Nitrogen, the growth platform, and Orion expand their integration pact. Now, these two companies are some of the biggest in the space with the large number of advisory firms, thousands and thousands of advisory firms using their software. They have always had in some form of integration, at least as far back as 2014 was the earliest I could find. And advisors can now do things like include risk analytics in Orion's client portal. They have a dedicated sub-report in Orion's report builder. These are available now, and there's other integrations back and forth between the two applications. But this new integration adds more capabilities between them. They're able to seamlessly bring accounts and models directly into the Riskalyze proposal. That is, accounts and models from Orion into the nitrogen. I keep saying it. This is going to take a while. Sorry, guys. Into the nitrogen proposal process in the nitrogen growth platform. Also, what I think is a key part of this delivery is Orion's portfolio groups are also now reflected as account groups in nitrogen. That's cool. That's super useful because it was a pain into some of our clients moving back and forth, not having those linkages to be able to group up accounts. So it's good to have that. And then some of the things we liked that it's from Orion to Riskalyze, you can send information such as households, account groups, accounts, holdings, and models. And then from Riskalyze back to Orion, you can regularly sync household risk number, account risk number, model risk number, and a couple other reports. Now, in the future, the firm said they plan to deliver another integration this year that will bring Orion's aggregated account feeds into Nitrogen's compliance analytics to drive growth and alignment visibility across the entire firm. Great. So we love this. More integrations, everyone, please. More integrations. We're a big fan of integrations between all the applications. Don't forget to check our website, EzraGroupLLC.com, and look at our WealthTech integration score. You can check out the integration scores for both of these firms and for every other firm, pretty much on the Keats's Ezra Group AdvisorTech map. Acorns acquires European robos to expand their footprint overseas. I've written many times that Acorns, in my opinion, will be the first robo-advisor to be worth $1 billion. Now, I think they've gone right past that number. In a funding round last year, they were worth $2 billion in a $300 million Series F. And their previous funding round was 2019. They're worth $860 million. So sometime between January 2019 and March 2022, they hit $1 billion. I'm pretty sure that was before any of the other firms. Although there were some deals, Personal Capital deal when they were acquired by Empower claimed to be $1 billion, but I believe it was only like 770 million plus incentives. So technically not $1 billion. And the Wealthfront deal with UBS was claimed to be $1 billion, although also had significant incentives. And that deal fell through anyway, so it doesn't even count. Although Betterment did hit $1 billion valuation, 1.3 in September 2021. However, I'm still holding by my claim that Acorns was the first actual $1 billion, though they're so close. Let's make another claim. I'm going to claim that Acorns will be the first robo-advisor worth $10 billion. Now, why? Why do you say? How's that possible? Well, partly from their just massive user base. With this acquisition, where they acquired two firms, one was called GoHenry, based in the UK, another one called PixPay, based in France, they hit 6 million users. That's a lot of users, considering that Wealthfront has about 500,000, Betterment at 900,000. So which one of these firms is more likely to monetize that user base and generate a lot more revenue? I'd say it's Acorns. You're 5x or 6x or more the number of users. It's just natural that you're going to be able to generate more revenue from them, and especially considering Acorns' business model. Let's see. So Acorns has a number of products. One is their roundup, smart money, or their micro savings, which was how they started out. Invest your spare change, linking to your credit cards, which is also unique, right? So If you're a regular robo-advisor, you just say, give me your savings, and we'll start investing it for you for retirement. But Acorn started differently. They said, let us connect to your credit card account. That gives them a lot of data about investors, about their consumers' expenses and their spending habits that they can use to sell them other stuff. So they do a micro savings app, rounding up your transactions. You spend $1.27 on something, it rounds up to $2, and so on. That doesn't generate a lot of money. Their average account size, I think that's the data here. Average account size is $3,600, and they charge $36 a year, or $3 a month. Very simple, flat subscription fee, easy for consumers to understand, and easy for them to fall into a sense of, hey, this is cheap, when it's really not. It's really very expensive. If they charge $3 a month times 12, $36, with an average account size of $3,600, that's 100 basis points. Really expensive for a robo-advisor. And that's just the average. Of course, half are more than that. And as their client base ages, their assets will grow. And of course, some will leave and go to the Merrill Lynch's, Morgan Stanley's, larger RIAs, Mariner Wealth, and others. But a significant portion, I believe, are going to stay. These accounts are going to be sticky because of the other products, because they've got their micro savings, they've got their IRA, which I believe is also $3 a month. They have their affinity program, which is like a cash back, but the money goes into your savings account. They've got hundreds of products and retail partners where if you buy something from Adidas, as an example, you get $20 or $30 into your savings account. So it's just like a cashback program. And that also creates more loyalty that no other company has, at least not in our space. There's no other robo-advisor that does what Acorns does to build a community and build this type of affinity. Now, the companies they bought, GoHenry, is the most interesting in that they focus on educating children about finance. They have a spending card that they sell to the parents that they can give to their children between 6 and 18 years of age and give them a budget, basically. So I think that's great. We don't spend enough education on finance for children, about budgeting, about credit cards, auto loans, how to get a mortgage, even simple things about what's a checking account. There isn't enough. I know where my daughters went to school, they had 1 semester of financial literacy. That's not enough. Your kids need that. You take your financial literacy class and you're done. You forget it, right? You need something every year on a regular basis to really get that information to stick in their brains. So I like that they're buying GoHenry, again, a low cost provider. Although Acorns also has a product called Acorns Early that they launched in 2020, which is an investment account that parents can set up for their children. So we know Acorns makes money via subscriptions. I think the business model is great. Now, once a consumer is onboarded into the Acorns ecosystem, I believe they're very unlikely to churn. As I mentioned, the average consumer in the U.S. sticks with their primary checking account, as an example, for at least 16 years. So I think the same holds true for their investment accounts, that people just want to stick. It's inertia. Once they have an account, they're going to keep it. And this recurring subscription model that is also going to be sticky. And they've got, another thing that Acorns has, they launched a debit card with a checking account, which became tremendously successful. And also, by knowing what their customers are spending money on, they can offer them more tailored products that meet their financial needs later. We're going to see more new products come out based on this data. It's going to make it more sticky. And we're going to see Acorns grow their assets from 16 billion now, probably to 100 billion in a few years. And they'll be considered a more serious player in the wealth management space. Growth makes operations more complex, say 75% of RIAs in a new Schwab survey. Conducted during the first 2 weeks of December in 2022, Schwab's 16th annual Independent Advisor Outlook study polled 862 RIAs. We love this kind of data. I love seeing what's going on in the industry, what advisors are thinking. A couple of interesting things right off the bat. Of course, growth makes operations more complex. That's sort of a no-brainer. I'm surprised only 75% said that. It's really should be 100%. Growth always makes things more complex. And one interesting part was the average age of the 862 advisors surveyed was only 52 years. which is less than I thought it would be. And checking some other surveys, I didn't do an exhaustive check, but a 2019 JD Power study found the average age of financial advisors was 55 years old. So is the average age of advisors going down? Maybe somebody can fact check me on that. Maybe these are just two snapshots from a unique cohort. So though Schwab's a pretty big company with the most RIAs or custody with them. So you'd think their data would be pretty accurate of the industry as a whole. So could be that the average age of advisors is trending down as advisors retire and new ones come in. And the average AUM of these advisors was 400 million. As far as how they differentiate themselves, 87% of respondents said it has to do with offering personalized portfolios. But is this really a true differentiation? I've been saying this for a number of years. There are some advisors, a minority of advisors out there that are really terrific investment managers. They have a knack for it. They've been doing it for a long time, and they have a strong track record of success. But most do not. Most trail the market by a wide margin. Certainly, they trail home office portfolios, asset manager portfolios, and yet many advisors still believe that they need to be out there picking stocks and building models. And the advice engagement category on the Kitces Ezra Group map is full of innovative products that are helping advisors move away from the investment performance and investment management value proposition. So I've got a couple stories that lead into that around that particular narrative. One is Absolute Engagement launches a software platform to capture real-time client feedback. Absolute Engagement is a company founded by Julie Littlechild in 2014, and they empower advisors to drive personalized engagement at scale. They had been known for managing and running client surveys, point-in-time snapshots on client surveys. And what they found was advisors wanted more real-time information about their clients. They found the surveys were really helpful, but they were just run once a year on average, and they were getting a snapshot, but they needed more real-time data to help make more meaningful interactions. So Absolute Engagement and Julie Littlechild launched a new software product, which they're calling the Absolute Engagement Engine, to drive more meaningful interactions with leads, prospects, and clients while helping advisors learn more about those interactions over time. The engine plugs into the firm's existing workflow. It integrates with tools like the CRM and financial planning software so that it doesn't interrupt the advisor's workflow or the client's workflow as well. So the engagement engine technology is rooted in what's called Reveal and Respond framework developed by Littlechild and the team at Absolute Engagement. They have deep experience developing, as I mentioned, one-to-many surveys that take a snapshot of client sentiments, but this engine, this software, allows advisors to capture one-to-one input at each stage in the client journey. What it can do is capture things, of course, nothing about investment management per se. It captures all the soft aspects of building a relationship with another human being, captures perceptions, preferences, expectations of an advisor's prospects and clients, and goes deeper to reveal needs, feelings, and priorities. And I think these are all very helpful for advisors to move away from just assets and get into more of life coaching, get into more of a full holistic wealth planning that involves understanding more about your clients. There was one of the RIA clients of Advice Engagement, I think it's a $2 billion RIA, says that they're early beta testers of the engine, and they said it helped them prepare for client reviews more effectively since their client profile data is always up to date rather than being out of date. So having this one-on-one referral tool, or this one-on-one data capture tool really helped them. On a separate note about Absolute Engagement, they recently added a new member to their advisory board, and that's Matt Brinker from Merchant Investment Management. So kudos to Absolute Engagement. Congrats for bringing Matt on to the advisory board. And if you want more information about Absolute Engagement, you can go to absoluteengagement.com. The next advice engagement story I wanted to talk about was advice engagement platform Lumient announced a $3.5 million US seed funding round. And actually another story, they have two stories for Lumient. They also acquired, maybe using some of that seed funding, they made their first acquisition, and they acquired longevity and health planning fintech Genivity. Now, Lumient is in the advice engagement category. And I forgot to mention, Absolute Engagement is in the workflow support category because they have some strong workflow tools built into the engine. But it could just as easily have been in the advice engagement category as well. That's what gets a little tricky sometimes is applications that have multiple capabilities. What category do you put them in? Lumient is in advice engagement, and they offer client discovery and lead capture tools that advisors use to engage with clients on both financial and non-financial goals. So you can see the trend here. Get away from just financial goals. Look at non-financial information around the client's life. Lumient has a number of tools inside their suite of software. 3 of them, they're called Your Life, Your Values, Your Goals. They all rely on surveys to gather information about the clients, such as what life outcomes the clients would deem to be successful, what their values are, understanding what they value in life, which the firm believes increases referrals. And they have a goals tool, which sort of overlaps with financial planning software. However, they believe their methodology is better. And they say in their data, it shows that traditional financial planning software users, advisors using traditional financial planning software average less than 2 goals per household. However, advisors who are using Lumient average 7.6 goals per household. So that's got to be better. You're learning more about clients and more about what their life is about, where they want to be in life. So that can only help advisors build strong relationships and other things around that are more focused on advisors' revenue, growing wallet share, and reducing churn. And for example, CEO Blake Wood, CEO of the US version of Lumient, because Lumient was founded in Australia and launched in the US last year. Blake Wood, formerly Envestnet's director of product, shared a story where he ran his own mother went through the process, and he discovered something about his mother's needs and his mother's goals, that she was really worried about being a financial burden to her family. Even though she wasn't, all of her children are very successful, but she was still worried. So she didn't spend any money on herself. She saved way more than she needed to in retirement. Instead of enjoying her money, maybe traveling a bit, she just put it away because she was just so nervous about that. And maybe if her advisor had known that, he or she maybe could have counseled her to say, hey, you don't really need this much in retirement. Here's things we can do to help you. Supporting the theory of advice engagement, soon to be a critical part of most advisors' tech stacks. It was a Fidelity survey which came out at the T3 conference that they found in their survey, 40% of advised investors want their advisor to provide support beyond investment management. So there you go. There's a backup stat that you got a significant number of investors who want more information. And even more surprising to me was they found some other results that 33% of investors surveyed said they want their advisor to help them make healthcare decisions. That's really something that came out of left field, but something advisors can help them with, whether it's how to save for healthcare, what kind of insurance to buy for healthcare. There's a lot of tools out there. You can check the Keats's Ezra Group WealthTech map. There's a healthcare planning section of tools that can help advisors with healthcare decisions. And a couple of the things we like about Lumient: one, they're mobile first. So most of the clients access their software on their mobile phones. This funding round, this $3.5 million in funding, brings their total funding to $9 million. And if you want to learn more about Lumient, before I forgot, Genivity. So Lumient acquired a fintech firm called Genivity. It was just announced at the Envestnet conference, which was in Denver a couple weeks ago. And speaking about the Envestnet conference, I remember first meeting founder and CEO Heather Holmes of Genivity back at the 2017 Envestnet Advisor Summit, when they were chosen as the best fintech innovation out of the Envestnet Yodlee Tech Incubator. And just very quickly, one of the things I like about Genivity is they have a healthcare survey, a life events and health survey where clients or prospects walk through it to talk about their history of healthcare issues in their family. And the survey is designed so well and gamified so well that they find that for every prospect or client that fills out this survey, they send it to 12 of their relatives to get more information about their family's health issues and health history. Well, that's just an incredible bonus in terms of lead gen for advisors. And they've got a lot of the tools. You can go check them out at Genuity.com. You can check out Lumient at lumient.io. That's not lumient.com, Lumiant, but lumient.io. Next up, we have a triple news story, all from Altruist. They simultaneously raised $112 million in a Series D round. They launched their own self-clearing unit called Altruist Clearing, and they acquired brokerage and custodial platform SS&G. What a month or a series of weeks for Altruist. First off, their $112 million Series D, led by Insight Partners and Adam Street, that brings their total funding to around $290 million. And that announcement came on the heels of their acquisition of Shareholder Services Group. Now, SS&G had around 1,600 advisors at the time of the acquisition. But still, I think Jason posted this on Twitter that they brought in record assets in Q1 2023 before the SS&G acquisition. So even though that doubled the number of advisors, or more than doubled, they still are growing very fast. In addition to the firms mentioned in the funding round, they also got some noted industry luminaries joining in on the investment, including Bill McNabb, former chairman and CEO of Vanguard, Ron Carson, founder and CEO of Carson Group, and Marty Bicknell, CEO and president of Mariner Wealth Advisors. Now, with 3,300 either advisors or RIA firms, I think that's advisors, 3,300 advisors on their platform, Altruist is now the third largest custodian by number of firms, but that's not really how we measure custodians. It's usually by AUM. So I'm assuming they're much farther behind Pershing, which is the number 3 by AUM, since that's how advisors, or that's how custodians make money, is on AUM, not on the number of clients. But still, it's impressive that they're growing so quickly. And the $112 million, what's that money for? They are using it to broaden their market reach. So up until now, they've been targeting RIAs under $100 million and been very successful, bringing in, again, 1,500 advisors from those smaller firms. But now they want to move upstream to the 100 million to 1 billion size. And those mid-sized advisory firms have different needs, such as account access and credentialing and other support. So they think that's what that money will be used for. Now, SS&G, based in San Diego, is a much older company than Altruist. They were founded in 2002, and they are not a custodian themselves. They are an introducing broker-dealer, and which means they are reselling another vendor's custody, which is Pershing. So they have BNY Mellon Pershing's custody for their client assets and clearing. And that, according to the articles, they are going to be sticking with Pershing, but I think strongly encouraging their clients to switch to Altruist. I'm sure there'll be some savings mentioned, better service, better support, different technology. So I think there'll be while they're not claiming, they're not going to do a mass conversion, they are going to be strongly encouraging those firms to switch over. Now, the SS&G acquisition, I believe, would not have occurred if they hadn't been going self-clearing. And the question is why? Why do you want to be self-clearing? Why not just continue the way you were working, which is also as a independent, or rather an introducing broker-dealer, which was how Altruist has been operating since they were founded. And they started with, I believe, Drive Wealth as the custodian, but ran into some problems such as around ACATs, that Drive Wealth is really designed for robos, not for RIA servicing. So then they switched to Apex, and they've been on Apex for a while. Now they're as an introducing broker-dealer to Apex, basically reselling their custody, and now they are going self-clearing. So one of the reasons that, from what I heard from Jason, they posted an office hours, basically a webinar internally that was talking about some of the reasons why they went self-clearing. One of the things he was saying was his front-end software and the clearing and custody of Apex were not always in sync, which caused some problems. And that they believe being a full stack custodian, being the custodian of all cash and securities of your client accounts, gives them more flexibility. They say it also improves the speed of deployment because they're no longer tied down by whoever the custodian is, their product roadmap, and their service and support. So they can take that on themselves. They believe, according to Jason, Wenk, the CEO and founder, they're going to have lightning quick account opening now. 1 to 1.5 minutes to open an account, which really is lightning fast. Just a few clicks to initiate ACATs. With the transfers, the actual transfers of securities happening in less than a week, which is all due to their communications being entirely digital. There were some other limitations in the introducing BD model, such as account types they couldn't support. I guess that was limited by what Apex had, cash management issues, and other things, trade order management. They weren't really happy with. So now they will do it all themselves. And they have to convert from Apex to Altruist clearing. So there is a conversion going on, although they claim there'll be no repapering because they're using negative consent. So it'll happen automatically when clients log in. I guess it's happening this month. They'll just get a pop-up saying, here's what's happening. Click here to approve. Boom, and they're done as long as they click the button. And negative consent is definitely the way to go if you can do that when you're converting custodians, because you don't need to repaper. Of course, there's a regulatory difference between broker-dealers, introducing broker-dealers, and banks, how they handle custody. There was an issue about a lot of talk about the SVB crisis and how that would impact custodians such as Schwab or now new Altruist Clearing. And they believe that due to the regulatory differences, they're okay in terms of their stability. A couple of the benefits they're getting from going self-clearing, they're eliminating the reliance on overnight batch processing, which is such a bane of our existence when it comes to dealing with custodians. Basically, everything you're doing, all the reporting, all the trading is based on yesterday's data. So if you can move everything faster, if you are the custodian, you have access to your data in real time for trading, cash management. There's no more recon, right? You're not reconciling it to the custodian because you are the custodian. You are the system of record, the golden source. All benefits of going self-clearing. And we don't really see many new RIA custodians entering the market. If you look at the Ezra Group WealthTech map, we have lots of other things coming in, lots of other tools and technologies, but not a lot of custodians because it's a non-trivial task to build out a custodian. I believe this took a number of years for Altruist to do this. They probably started building this custodian as soon as they switched to Apex, it seems, because I think it took them at least 3 years. They said there were 350 team members working on this. A lot of work, a lot of effort. It's a big lift. So that's why we don't really see a lot of new RIA custodians coming out. Interesting comment I read in the article on wealthmanagement.com. It was a comment from Alan Moore, the CEO and co-founder of XY Planning Network, who said, in the end, custodians make their money not in the billions, but in the trillions of AUM. So he's interested to see if they can be successful, they, being Altruist, can be successful in scaling operations to a point where they can remain a standalone custodian. My opinion is that Jason Wenk and his team are in this for the long haul. With that Series D, they've got enough dry powder to keep building out their technology and capabilities and support, and they've already been doing a great job. So I'm putting my money on Jason that they're going to be in this for the long haul. If you want more information about Altruist, please go visit them on the website at altruist.com. And next, we have two stories about Dynasty Financial. First up, Smart RIA announces a second strategic investment round from Dynasty Financial Partners and Market Counsel. Now, financial advisors are required to navigate increasingly complex waters when it comes to regulatory compliance. And those who choose to ignore the rules can find themselves in hot water with federal and or state regulators. They may also face punishment or suspension by boards of standards that govern any professional designations that they might hold. So it's not surprising to us that the use of RegTech software is growing across the industry, and this trend is driving investment in those software providers. So Dynasty, which is a service provider themselves to more than 50 independent RIAs, and Market Counsel, a regulatory consultancy, and also the the managers of the Market Counsel conference, first invested together in Smart RIA back in 2021, way back in 2021. Now, this deal closed 3 months ago, and Dynasty had already begun onboarding RIAs in its network onto the Smart RIA platform. And, I think that's from the previous article. Yeah, that's from 2021. So they closed the first deal in 2021, and they were already onboarding RIAs onto the Smart RIA platform. So it makes a lot of sense. Why not invest in your service provider? You get a seat on their board, you get a lot more say in their platform and features and functionality. I think Brian Hamburger, founder of Market Council, is going to be on the board of Smart RIA. And earlier this year, Dynasty said it was going to begin using its own balance sheet to purchase minority stakes in members of its network, rounding out the capital solutions it already offers. And Cheryl Penny also talked about this at the T3 conference. If you read my summary of the conference, which is on keatses.com, I talked about Cheryl's presentation, which, by the way, was a fireside chat with Brian Hamburger. Some really useful information about RIA M&A. Now, the Smart RIA Pro platform has a number of capabilities. They pitch it as an all-in-one compliance platform for RIAs. It has compliance calendar and dashboard, which eliminates all the spreadsheets you normally have to manage. They have an encrypted file storage library, oversight reporting with compliance alerts, CRM integrations, and we love integrations, trade monitoring, and data governance. Related to Smart RIA, they had another, something last year came out that they partnered with keatses.com to offer IAR continuing education. So Smart RIA is, from their dashboard, advisors who are using their tools can access CE content provided by keatses.com. So that's a nice integration there. If you want more information about Smart RIA, go to smart-ria.com. The second Dynasty story is a selection of Bridge FT as their primary data aggregation provider. Bridge FT is an interesting story. They started out, I don't know the exact year, I don't have that, but it's been at least 10 years. They started as a full platform, RIA platform, that was built on top of the old Fiserv APL system. So they had their own interface to it, they were white labeling Fiserv APL's full managed account platform for RIAs. That went on for a while, and eventually, I think they were trying to become a lower cost provider, competing for RIAs with Orion and Morningstar Office, Black Diamond and such. And I don't think they got a lot of traction in that market. So they pivoted. They hired Joe Stenzlin, who would be the new CEO. And he pivoted the company to be more of a data provider, basically a custodial data aggregator, which is a great idea since they already had all those capabilities built. And now they're offering that to other vendors and wealth management firms who want to build their own technology, such as Dynasty. They have the capability to build their own tools and technologies. And this way they can own the multi-custodial data coming in, then feed that to InvestNet or Orion or whatever tools they happen to be using. So it's a really good idea. I mean, we're big proponents of wealth management firms doing whatever they can to protect themselves and own more of the data and more of the technology, and don't be as beholden to vendors. For example, if you bring in an RIA platform, an end-to-end platform, they basically own your data. It's very difficult to switch platforms in that time because you've got to convert everything. You've got to, of course, retrain everybody, but also that moving that data from one platform to another can be a huge pain. And we've done a lot of research on moving portfolio management systems. If you bring in a provider like Bridge FT and you own the custodial data, that gives you an advantage, a bit more of an advantage if you wanted to switch out your portfolio management system, because then you just send the data to the new vendor, right? You control that rather than the vendor controlling it. It's not complete. I'd rather have the clients own the data as well. So build a data lake, data warehouses to hold the portfolio management data and then feed it to the portfolio management system for rebalancing and performance reporting and such. That way you own the data in your format. But that's a much bigger lift that requires much more capabilities. However, this selection of Bridge FT as their data aggregation provider also comes with an investment, I believe. I'm looking at the story right now. This is written by my friend Ryan Neal on Investment News. Dynasty Financial selects Bridge FT as primary data aggregation provider. There was an investment. I'm sorry, I can't find it at the moment. That Dynasty made. Again, you can see the pattern. They're finding good technology providers, and they are not only signing up with them, but they're investing in them. So that gives them a lot more leverage. So you can go, if you want to find out more information about Dynasty, you can go to their website. And if you want to find more information about Bridge FT, it is bridgeft.com. Next up, wealth tech vendor GeoWealth buys Tampa First Ascent. We first met the GeoWealth team way back in 2017. I was impressed by their platform. The tech was a bit lightweight. They were still, building out their tools and technology, but impressive they built it all themselves. Bit clunky. Some major gaps, like advisors can only create models through spreadsheet uploads. But we got into the demo last year and it looks a lot better. It's a full platform now. Very impressive. They describe themselves as a hybrid between a SaaS platform and a TAMP. We see them more as a back office outsourcer until this acquisition of First Ascent. So in the past, GeoWealth was less focused on the investment process. The majority of their RIA clients, about 100 or so, built their own models, and their largest RIA was about 2.6 billion with 135,000 accounts. 135,000 accounts on the platform. That's a lot of accounts. That's a decent sized product. The total AUM now is around 21 billion. And they built all their tech, their core portfolio accounting, prop gen, order management, rebalancing, model center. We like their service center, which is a trade communications portal for advisors to communicate with their trading team. This acquisition is the first they've made since GeoWealth's $19 million funding round last January, although they did have done a bit of poaching of executives from their competitors. Now, First Ascent is an asset manager, and they will continue to operate as a standalone subsidiary. Again, I mentioned 21 billion in total assets, 180 clients, of which 90% are RIAs of the total of the combined firms. They're keeping First Ascent's Denver and Chicago offices in operation. And First Ascent builds and sells their own portfolios and investment products, whereas GeoWealth relied on third-party providers. So I believe the intention is to use First Ascent as the full-service GeoWealth TAMP for advisors that want to purchase models and have the company manage it all for them, all the back office and administrative services. So they'll have two brands running simultaneously for advisors, depending on what their needs are. According to the CEO, Colin Falls, this is not an asset purchase where you rip out the tech and fire everyone. The only proprietary software that First Ascent was using was their onboarding technology. There won't be any layoffs. This is a growth story. Love that message. Hope they stay true to that. It was interesting that First Ascent bought some technology last year. They bought one of their providers, similar to what Dynasty was doing. First Ascent bought their provider of onboarding technology. It was called Forward Financial Technology. Never heard of them before. Risk tolerance, prop gen, account opening technology. And they bought that. Not sure if they're keeping it or not. But they are planning to move onto the GeoWealth platform, which makes sense. They've got a full feature capabilities, able to just keep the onboarding, which makes sense because that's really the only parts that clients or advisors would ever see. Everything else is in the back end. Now, what they will be changing is First Ascent had built their TAMP technology on top of Orion for performance reporting, billing, and other parts of the application. So that's going to go away. So Orion can't be happy about that. And that's going to be a significant cost savings because Orion is not cheap, and it'll give First Ascent an immediate bump in cash flow. Just to tell you how much it costs to run Orion's tech, it's going to make them break even. Right? So they were losing money all this time. Now they're going to break even since they don't need to pay Orion anymore. That's a longer term business benefit of course. First Ascent was known in the industry for their flat fee for its services, which they were the first ones to come out with that about 6 years ago. They charge $1,400 per household with an additional $500 charge for every $1 million over $3 million. So it's very scalable for advisors and their clients. First Ascent grew their assets by 1,000% from 2019 through 2021. Do I have that right? And they're now 1.8 billion at the time of the sale. I am super excited for this deal, especially for Scott McAlop, the CEO of First Ascent. Scott is really I'm really impressed by him and envious of what he can do. He shows that just age is just a number. He started First Ascent when he was 63, and now 8 years later sold it at 71, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon. He's the youngest 71-year-old you'll ever meet. The guy is hiking and riding and skiing. I'm jealous when I see his stuff posts on LinkedIn. I'm like, wow, I want to be there. So Colin and the GeoWealth team have a fantastic partner to continue their growth. All the best to them. You can check out these firms at geowealth.com and firstascentam.com. Now it's time for our review of the WealthTech map changes for the month. As you know, Michael Keatsis and I partner on the WealthTech map, which you can find on keatsis.com/fintechmap. And every month we go through all the new vendors, new products that want to be added to the map, as well as other changes, adjustments, reconfigurations that are needed. Now this month, I think this is probably the most applications we have added, at least in a couple of years. There are 18 new products that are appearing on the May map that weren't here before. I'm just going to do a quick rundown of them, names of the product, and what category they are in. Before I start, there's a new category added this month. Yes, we managed to squeeze in a whole nother category. It's called insurance data and analytics, for products that do insurance data analytics, which is different than investment data analytics, because these do it for insurance policies. So running down the list, alphabetical order, we have Advi Ally, which is a new CRM tool. We haven't seen a new CRM in quite some time, so welcome Advi Ally. Advisor Armor is a managed service provider, mainly a provider of cybersecurity. And I think do we create a subcategory? I need to bring up the map while I'm talking here. We didn't do it. Oh, we did. So cybersecurity, managed service providers, which is in the middle top of the map. We added a subcategory for cybersecurity. Advisor Armor and FCI are in there. Advisor Finder is next under lead gen, another category that's getting really crowded. So if you're thinking about a new product and you want to do lead gen, just remember there's a lot of stuff in there. Okay, that was Advisor Finder. Amplify. This is portfolio management. And of course, you can always get to these websites from the map. Just click on their logo. If you don't realize that, the PDF is live, and each one of the logos has a link, a hyperlink, which you can click on. So I'm not going to give you all the URLs on the podcast. All right, that was Amplify, is a portfolio management application. Next is Arch, ARCH, account aggregation for alternative investments. Canoe Intelligence, investment data analytics. Caravel Compass, and it's going in planning light. Financialadvisors.com is lead gen. Lemire, that's in two E's, LA space MEER, Lemire, is in compliance. Levitate, digital marketing. Life Insurance Sustainability Analysis, or LISA, is the first going in insurance data and analytics. MirrorWeb, it's a good name, social media archiving. New Retirement, another good name. Planning Light. Reich and Tang, not a good name. Cash Management. Trustworthy, specialized planning legacy. Veralytic goes under insurance analytics. WealthVoice.ai is going to in digital marketing. And finally, Wink is insurance analytics. As I mentioned, a new category, insurance data analytics. Other changes. We have one other change. Wealth Access moved from client portal, just double check before I say anything, moved from client portal, there it is, to advisor data warehousing, which you can find right in the middle of the map. And I think that's all the changes. I always like to talk about the things that weren't added, or generically, I don't want to mention the company's names, but if you are a company that is offering consulting services, you're not going to get on the map. If you're offering investment products or options or some sort of derivatives, you're selling some sort of securities or investment products, you're not going to get on the map. That's not what the map is for. The map is for software. You have to be selling software for a price. If you're giving away software as a loss leader because you're selling some sort of product, you're most likely not going to get on the map. If you offer any of the kinds of services, if you're a TAMP, you're not going to get on this map. Although there are some TAMPs on the map because they also sell software, or they sell they sell a combination of software and TAMPs, like InvestNet and Orion are on the map because you can also buy their software separately. But firms that only sell TAMP services do not get on the map. You have to have some sort of software that advisors can buy, or other types of services are not going to get on the map either. And of course, any companies that close or get acquired, they're no longer being sold, will be taken off the map. As long as if a company acquires another company and they continue to sell the product under the original name or still as a standalone product, we will keep it on the map most likely. If, of course, if they integrate it and you can no longer buy it, we'll take it off the map. There are a few conditions where firms get multiple logos. It's very rare. We're going to be rationalizing that soon. There's some grandfathered in products that are that allowed companies to have two logos. For example, InvestNet has InvestNet Tamarack and InvestNet Money Guide. We left Money Guide on because it's still being sold standalone, and plus it's one of the most popular applications, but also probably number one financial planning tool. So we left that on there. Morningstar gets two because they have Morningstar Data Analytics. No, they have three. Well, they have the global risk model and risk tolerance. They have Morningstar, which is their Morningstar Direct, Morningstar Advisor Workstation under Investment Data Analytics, and they have Morningstar Goldbridge under Planning Light. They're the only ones that have three. We're probably going to have to look at that. Yeah, so Michael and I keep talking about rationalizing, going through and really doing a hard look at anyone who's got more than one logo on the map, because it just really isn't fair. Oh my, I just realized there's a fourth Morningstar Office. So we're going to have to look at that. Well, for the moment, they've got 4 logos, and the next closest has got 2. But that's just the way things are going at the moment. Again, we're trying to keep the map as useful as possible. So sometimes we're making subjective decisions, but we're trying to keep everything as objective as possible in terms of who gets what positioning on the map. If you have any updates you'd like to share, if you're a vendor who would like to get on the map, or if you have added new features and functionality and you think you should be in another category, please email us at technews@kitces.com. You can also email myself directly, although you'll probably get a much quicker response, technews@kitces.com. Our next segment is one of my favorites, which is our monthly review of the Ezra Group WealthTech Integration Score. And this month I have a special guest. I'd like to introduce David Racine, who is the head of our WealthTech Integration Score team. Hey, David.
Hi, Craig. Thanks for having me on.
I'm glad you could make the time to talk to us. So what we're talking about today is the changes in methodology we made that just launched this month. So can you just give an overview of why we made the changes, what the changes are, and how they were going to impact the scoring?
Sure. So there are basically 3 categories of scores that add together to get your total score. First is breadth, and originally that was basically just how many applications does this application integrate with, without regard for the level of integration. The issue there was that we wanted to give a higher weight to more popular applications. So the new calculation, basically half the score is focused on the 40 or so most popular applications, and the other half on all the rest. Next, we had depth. Depth is an individual score for each application integration. And there we wanted to give a higher weight to stronger and deeper integrations. We found that there were some firms that had quite a number of just single sign-on integrations, but lacked deep integrations, what we call a score of 5. So
that's a good point, David. Let me jump in there. So that's something that we wanted to highlight. One of the complaints we had from our clients, whether they're RIAs, TAMPs, broker-dealers, banks, was that vendors would tell them they have all these integrations and how wonderful it is. And then when they got to sign the contract and try to implement, they were mostly just single sign-ons and didn't really move any data between the systems, which was a bit of a bait and switch. So we wanted to make sure that depth was an important part. In fact, we made it 50%, right, of the score is depth.
Right, exactly. And then we have the third, which was really originally just three questions because it had to do with how easy other vendors might find it to integrate with this particular
We're calling that usability.
We call it usability, yes. And basically it was just, do you have get APIs that allow other vendors to get access to your information? Do you have post APIs that allow vendors to give information to you, presumably for display or utilization? And then the simple question, do you have a developer portal? We've expanded that from the original 3 questions to 20 different questions, where we focus on about 10 questions on the portal functions, quite a number of questions on certification, so SOC 2 certification or ISO certification, etc. And then a number of questions on the APIs themselves. So one of the things that has done is really given a depth to the way that vendors' scores are maintained. It used to be that if you answered all 3 questions yes, you would get a perfect score. Frankly, with 20 questions, no vendor out there has answered all 20, has all of the 20 things that we ask. Quite a number of them, of course, have the great majority, but it really allows a little bit of detail that was lacking before.
Yeah, that's an important part, because understanding the usability of the integrations and APIs, if it's not usable, then what's the point? You're paying for something that is not going to provide a lot of value. So these questions really pull out and tease out the did the vendor prepare enough support for these capabilities, or did they just roll something out that nobody can really even access?
So the end result of this has meant that the median score went up slightly, and largely we believe that that's a function of the fact that it is true that most firms do emphasize the popular apps. So the breadth score increased a little bit. But usability, as I said, went down slightly, because before you only had to answer 3 yeses, and now there's quite a lot more there. Overall, no significant changes, no surprises per se, but I think users of the score will now find it a bit more valuable, and we're always interested in thoughts about how to improve it. In fact, the usability questions, the 20 questions, came from a group of CTOs, VPs of engineering, and others. So if you have any further comments or questions, you can just email us at integrations@EzraGroupLLC.com, and we look forward to hearing from you.
David, thanks for taking the time to join us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And you've made it to the end of another episode of the WealthTech Today podcast. That had to be the longest news podcast episode I've ever recorded. There was just so much. Also, I think because we forgot, we didn't get the news done last month, so it had a lot of rollovers. So definitely long news. Thanks for sticking it out and getting all the way to the end. And before you go, please visit our website, EzraGroupLLC.com, scroll to the bottom of the homepage, and sign up for our newsletter. Once a month, you'll receive an email chock full of wealth management goodness, news, analysis, updates, and links. You will not be disappointed. Thanks again for listening, and talk to you all again next time.